we have a very, very special episode, someone who's very close to my heart. Joining us today is Prijat Garg, a digital lending and fintech expert with over 2 decades of experience in credit, lending, and risk management. Also a trusted advisor to fintechs and NBFCs. Prijat is also a recognized voice in personal finance with millions of views and features in leading publications. Welcome, PG.
Thank you very much, Sunil. Lovely to be here. And I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Amazing. So first thing first, PG, I was just thinking what is coming to my mind, when I was talking and I was just creating my notes before this session. I was thinking everyone today in India has been talking about fire. Fire. What is this fire? I want to achieve my fire number. Please, enlighten us and tell what exactly a fire hai kya?
So FIRE actually stands for financial independence and retire early, right? To me, it's a misnomer. I think it's just more of a fad. It's like hybrid thing. Essentially, all of us are looking for some financial freedom, right? So I would like to rephrase it to say financial independence and risk enabler. हम सब मिडिल क्लास से आते हैं, मतलब मेजॉरिटी ऑफ अस, राइट? एंड मिडिल क्लास में होता है कि पहले ये सेटल कर लो, पहले 12th पास कर लो, फिर ग्रेजुएशन कर लो, फिर एक जॉब आ जाए, एक सिक्योर जॉब आ जाए, एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, राइट? Now that makes us risk averse, at least most of us. And we are trying to achieve some sort of a financial security for ourselves. Mm. Now, whenever one achieves that, and that number is going to be very different for everyone. Once achieved that, then we can try taking some risks in our life. When I say risks, we can devote time to something else. Most of our incomes are associated to the time we spend on our jobs. हम एक दिन की छुट्टी लेते हैं, अगर वो paid leave नहीं है, तो then you lose your salary, right? So then you're worried. You don't take leaves beyond the paid leaves. And because of which you may not be pursuing some passion of yours. Mm-hmm. Now, if you have financial freedom, where you know that this is what I need, इतने में मेरा चल जाएगा घर, then you might be able to take those calls, right? And if we see people from different streams of lives, they're able to take different calls. Now, why I say FIRE could be a fad in a way, if you see any big achiever, at least in the business world, mm-hmm. they've made so much of money, but have they retired? No. You see the big names in international market, see big business leaders in Indian market, mm-hmm. they really work so hard. They work for 17, 18 hours even today. Why so? Because they love what they're doing. They want to make a difference to the world, right? And in the process, they're also making money. It's not that they're doing it for charity only, right? But the point is that they had achieved a financial freedom under which they were able to take decisions or risks much more in their lives.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So let's say, and especially in our organization, right, at Pixelo, we have a lot of youngsters. And today's youngsters, and that could be my personal opinion, majority of them want to retire early, have a great lifestyle and achieve that financial freedom.
Right.
So what are the 3-4 things you would mention which are very, very critical in today's age, especially for a youngster, and how they can achieve, this freedom across the board? What are your thoughts on that?
So one thing I would like to say is that the target should not be to retire early. The target should be for financial independence, to become wealthy or achieve their own personal aspirations, personal goals. That definitely should be a target for everyone. Right? And these are also evolving goals. At the age of 21, you may have a certain target. You may want to study better. You might want to do post-graduation. You might want to travel the world. But once you get married, you may have different goals. The goals will shift. Maybe you have 1 kid, the goals will further shift. If you have 2 kids, the goals will further shift. So the things are different for each one of us. So, but what does not change is that one needs to definitely make sure that they save good amount of money from day one of their earning. That should be in the plan.
Yeah.
And once that money is being saved, how do you invest that more intelligently? And for that, you have people available who can guide you if you don't have knowledge, or you can learn yourself and do that. That's the second part. The third part is manage that money well. over a period of time. Because a lot of us would have heard about power of compounding, right? You invest money, the money compounds. But then you have to be also careful and manage the money so that it compounds in the right instruments. You're able to move the money from right instruments to from X instrument to Y instrument to meet your financial objectives. Because ultimately your objective is to be met. I may have enough money, but if my objectives are not being fulfilled, it doesn't make sense. So that is what needs to be done over the course of time. The fourth thing is, all of this is possible only when you earn enough and you control your expenses. Because sometimes if I get like a excellent job where I'm earning enough money, I can start spending frivolously. And that is not a good strategy. That is not good for anyone. Yeah, you can. I'm not saying that you should curb down your wants. Definitely enjoy luxury, have those moments of fun, build those memories for yourself, because that is what you will relish in your life. But don't go overboard.
Yeah.
Be careful about it, be judicious about it, and earn enough. And spend also enough, but under a budget.
So one thing that comes to my mind, and this is across internet everywhere, और ये बहुत ज़्यादा चल रहा है, अगर मैं पूछूं तो same repetitive question, but I feel मुझे पूछना पड़ेगा, which is you spoke about investments. What are the channels? And I will also ask, because again it's important, what are the channels for quick money? And really, are there channels for quick money? And what is that strategy, or that magic where we can find across getting and raising and making good money, amount of money?
So, see, I think at least I have not made quick money, so I don't know what works for quick money. And I wouldn't recommend anyone to just go after that, right? I'm sure there are few people who have been successful at making quick money, right? Just for example, if someone would have invested in Bitcoin just few weeks back, they would have made a lot of money by now, right? But then that also requires deep study, understanding of that market, understanding of that opportunity. It could have happened the other way around as well. You could have lost a lot of money as well. So somebody needs to understand that. Somebody needs to have that appetite before making those calls. So for me, I invest where I can understand something. Like in stock markets also, I invest more in financial services because that's the area that I understand a little better than other sectors. It doesn't mean that I don't invest in other sectors, but obviously because I understand financial services, banks slightly better, my inclination would be more towards that. So, and it will be true for others as well, right? So stock investing is definitely one of the most popular, upcoming, growing as well, as we see. More and more youngsters are participating in the stock market, so which is a good thing for India.
Any numbers you want to say on this? Like when you say that growth?
No, so I think, let's say the numbers are all in the air and we have news reports coming out. I don't want to quote a number, but more importantly, we have youngsters who are participating in the market. There are simpler apps which are making it easy for people to participate in the stock market. So I think those are positive trends. The risk here is that people may get misled because stock market rewards as well as there are risks involved. And if you don't make informed decisions, both when to buy and when to sell, you may lose money. So that is important. I think recently SEBI had published a report where a lot of youngsters are going for trading rather than investing. And the report said that 93% of the retail investors lost their money. And that is perhaps because of, I would say, uninformed or less informed decision making. Right? So maybe for you, trading may work and you might be making money. But if it is not the instrument for me, it is not aligned to my risk appetite, it is not aligned to how I want to manage my money, then I better stay safe and invest money in long-term instruments. I may not make as much money as you, but I may not even lose as much money as you. So I think both sides are important.
Okay. Just to add on that, my personal experience, when I was 10 years back, more younger, I lost a considerable amount of money in trading. Okay.
Same for me.
It was a huge rush. I think, blood rush that, ye work karega. Initially, I made good money, but there was a day where I lost 10x of what I made. Okay. But that learning for me, jhatka kha ke, that is what happened. And then I started investing. So for, the current generation and our audience, what do you say, how do you convince them today that, how to make these sensible decisions, if you want to just summarize so that they know ki haan, trading agar karna bhi hai, to what is that important thing? Only otherwise, move other side of things.
See, I think whatever we say here, and I'm sure there are more learned people who have spoken about this, it's difficult for individual, even when I was young and like you gave in your example, for us to appreciate that wisdom. And sometimes you have to burn your hands to realize it. The reason I think we are talking about this subject and everyone else are talking about this subject is that not everyone has appetite to fathom that loss, right? Maybe if you would have lost maybe a few lakh rupees, but you had that support system around you, you could have borne that loss. You were comfortable, you could have come out of it.
Yes.
But for some other families, it may not be. And I think that is where the concern is. And recently, I ran into a cab driver who had more than 10 trading apps on his mobile phone. And he just rattled the mobile apps.
How is he driving and doing trading?
Yeah, and I was wondering that. So what he does is like around 9:30 in the morning, he takes a break from his cab drive, and then he will place an order.
Okay.
And then he does not look at it till 12.
Was he
built his own
money?
system. He claimed to be. He claimed to be making money. And he had his own target that he had set for loss as well as for gain. So as soon as he hit that gain, he would come out of the market, irrespective of what the market is doing. And
but he was not looking at his phone during this time.
No, that's what he claimed to be.
Okay.
So I don't know. but it has penetrated to levels where people are kind of practically earning daily wages and they're trading, not investing. So if something goes really wrong, I would really worry what would happen to his family and to his money. And I think that's where the concern comes.
And that awareness is more important.
That awareness is more important. And unfortunately, in our education system, there's no financial literacy that comes through. Most of the financial literacy right now is through social media, through YouTube. We have a lot of financial influencers who are doing a great job in informing people. But amongst them, it's very difficult to figure out who's giving us the right advice and who's giving us the right knowledge versus who's perhaps not as well informed. And and I think people may make mistake by maybe either picking up a wrong tip or a wrong advice. So it's important that whatever advice that you're listening into, do your own due diligence, verify that information, investigate, research more about it, and then put in money and build slowly. Like you said, it's also not a wrong strategy to experiment. Maybe with small money, create a bucket and say, okay, this is what I'm going to invest. These are my targets. And if I don't meet these targets, I will exit. Or if I meet these targets on the loss side, I will exit. And then I will not come back to this. That's also fine. But it's very difficult to have that kind of discipline. Most of us don't have that.
Yeah. Just a follow-up question on this, especially on investment. And even a few years back, it was still not very convincing for me. Like, there are different channels of investing. I have been doing equity, I've been doing real estate, but that acumen to also start an SIP and mutual fund early was not, there with me, and I'll be, openly talking about it. But what do you think about these different, instruments? Which one is more important? If we have to look at it, if there is a balance, how do we do it? What's your thought on it?
So I think broadly, we have to look at financial assets and non-financial assets, or movable assets and immovable assets in a way. So like stock market, SIP, funds, mutual funds, all of these are financial digital assets, which you can trade and sort of come out of it, invest at any point in time. So whenever we're making any of these kind of decisions between what assets to choose, most of us look at returns and make that investment. But what is also important to understand is what is the liquidity available.
Yeah.
Can you exit at any point in time, or will it create a lock-in for you? All right. Because if I invest some money, it can give me 20%, but then I'll have to be locked in. If I have an emergency tomorrow, I cannot take the money out. Then also it may not be a wise decision to invest. So liquidity becomes another important aspect for us to understand whether we'll be able to take the money out or not, or how soon can I take the money out. The third thing is the horizon of that return.
Yeah.
Right. What are the other risks involved?
Okay.
Say, for example, if I invest money in real estate, there are risks which could be associated with the geography. Maybe suppose an airport gets announced there, the prices can shoot up.
Yep.
Right. But if a dumpster gets announced there, perhaps the prices will fall down by 50% the next day. Right. And you can't take it out. You will not have enough buyers in a real estate market because the quantum of the money is also very large. Maybe a property which is for 50 lakhs, the number of buyers are lower. But a stock which is at 100 rupees, you can have maybe lakhs of potential buyers which can buy that stock, right? So I think all of those need to be considered while picking up an asset. And for young people, I think it is much better to have some sort of diversification between gold or metal assets and some stock assets, or maybe a bit of fixed deposit or any other kind of debt instrument. And all of those are fairly liquid.
Okay.
Even for gold and metal, don't invest in the physical ones. Maybe invest in ETFs or any such funds or digital gold, which allow you to...
Any favorite of yours in this?
No, I think it keeps changing. I think as the market changes. So that's also important that you have to be up to date with the market. I can't really invest and forget. We keep hearing about those stories where someone invested in MRF or TCS 40 years back and they are now millionaires. But those stories may not work for everyone, right? We don't hear stories of people who would have invested in a company that no longer exists today.
Correct.
Right? In US, somebody would have invested in Kodak, would have made a lot of money and would have lost all the money now because that company does not exist, right?
So as we are speaking in November 24 right now, and especially with the market uncertainty across the board, what do you have to say for for us?
So I think these are ups and downs of the cycle, right? And we have to all be comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And that is also another challenge with new investors, because as soon as the market starts falling, we become jittery. I was reading a WhatsApp forward today and it was pretty interesting, very related to this, that if there is a 10% discount in mall, you will go and do shopping, right? If there's a 10% discount on car, you will buy the car. But if there's a 10% discount on a particular stock, you don't want to buy the stock. You want to sell the stock, which is counterintuitive, right? So today, like some of the blue chip stocks are available at really low
discounted
prices, right?
Yeah.
And it might be a great time for you to invest and be ready for the time when the market will go up. I believe in the India story. India definitely is an economy which is going to do well. We have such a young demographic. We will, as a country, we are center of attraction for most of the world. So our companies should do well, our startups should do well, our market should do well. And if that happens, then people who are investing money in the right companies, which will survive and thrive, those people should also make money.
Since you talk about the markets and current scenario, I've been reading a lot of FYIs, taking out the money. Any specific reason for that? Or do you think they'll be getting back?
I think it's just about because there have been elections recently which have happened in the US and there are expectations of how the US market will move.
Okay.
And FIs obviously are placing their bets on different markets, different countries in different manner. Right? And at this moment, if they believe that in the next few months, they may make more money in a certain market, in certain type of companies, they will move the money from this market to another market or this instrument to another instrument. And they will make those decisions. And I'm not trying to get into the technicalities of it. I'll stay away from it. But I think it's important from investors' perspective is that we understand the fundamentals of why we are investing in a particular business or a particular instrument, and stick with that decision for some time, see the results. If it's not working out, change your decisions.
Got it.
You don't have to get sort of stuck to that decision. Some of these economic patterns, as you start learning, you can start understanding those. Your decision making may improve. But don't worry about it on day one. I see some youngsters, they like at very early stage, they start talking about how's the FYI movement, how are things happening in economy and all of that. Those things will matter. But fundamentally, like even today, if you see when the market have fallen, fundamentally good companies have not dropped so much.
Yeah.
They're still holding on to their prices. Some of them are still doing well. So if you are choosing the right businesses, the other factors may not have such a big say.
Okay. So this brings me to the next topic, Vijay, and something I'm very passionate about. So we run a growth agency across India and global markets. It's a B2B side of businesses where we help, different enterprise and startups in scaling their demand gen, GTM motion, so on and so forth. My personal observation also have been, especially today's youngsters, when we talk about B2B sales, thoda sa hesitant hote hain. Generally sales profile, joining all of that. So what is your message for that? You also have been a veteran in this space. You have led different marketing and sales organizations as well as, enterprises in heading those functions. So what's your thought on that? Why that hesitant to, grow themselves in the sales role? And is that the right fear?
So I think the perception with sales comes from our experiences in the B2C sales, right? You go to a mall and you will find कोई तो कार्ड बेच रहा होगा, क्रेडिट कार्ड बेच रहा होगा, कोई कुछ ना कुछ तो आपको पुश कर रहा होगा, right? Or if you are on the road and then somebody will pop up and say, okay sir, मेरे non-profit है, इसमें थोड़ा investment कर दो, थोड़ा donation दे दो. So such experiences are not great, right? Or you get calls from some financial investor and say, okay sir, हम call कर रहे हैं, आप ले लो, so थोड़ा सा पैसा डाल दो कुछ. So all of these are sales experiences that we have had, and these are not pleasant experiences. So we imagine sales to be a very pushy job, that you just come and push someone and someone will buy. In B2B, that's not the scenario, because B2B, you are selling to a business person, or maybe a decision maker, or like a function head who's responsible for a budget. And they take decisions not based on push. You can't push them, right? They have to understand exactly what needs to be the reason why they are looking at your pitch, and then they will take proper informed decisions. And we'll talk more about that. But importantly, that's why B2B sales is at least for me, was a great experience. And I have seen many great business leaders who have done sales earlier in their career and then became very successful business leaders, even CEO level, people who have all grown from sales. If you look at, say, Bill Gates, for example, when he would have started Microsoft, being a startup founder, he would have sold software himself, right?
Yeah.
And typically, if you imagine, and Bill Gates, I think himself has confirmed that he's more like an introvert person. And you would imagine that sales has to be an extrovert sort of a role. But he himself took that up. He would have pitched initially to clients, sold his product to so many enterprises initially. And obviously, once he would have made enough money, he would have hired enough people. And so would be the case with any such service that you would look at.
Yep.
And so I would say that for youngsters who want to explore this career, they should, because it teaches so many things. Personally, to me, it has taught me a lot of aspects. It teaches you how to handle rejections, because you will pitch to 10 clients and 9 of them or maybe 10 of them will say no.
Does that help in life?
It does. It does, because you become more tenacious. You become more resilient.
Yep.
You know that you have to get up and go again and say the same thing with a big smile, right?
Yeah.
It also helps you become more creative. अच्छा ये नहीं चला था last time, let me try this, right? ये workout नहीं हुआ था, let me try this. So it makes you more creative also. Because you have to do that, right?
Yeah.
People are also worried about that sales will put lot of work pressure or target pressure. But for some individuals, that makes it work, right? And I have seen people in my team who used to get really excited about targets. Abhi mera 70% ho gaya hai. Now I have to work harder. And they'll be like really pumped up in the morning because they want to reach that number. So I think it teaches you so many things which can be useful in variety of your other career options as well, and in your personal life as well. So I believe one should definitely try out if you are even considering sales as a profession. If you don't have any clarity, definitely pick up sales. It will open you up as a person. It did for me.
Yeah.
I opened up more. I am more comfortable speaking to people. I'm more comfortable having conversations with people. It improved my communication skill. It improved my on-the-spot thinking because I had to respond to questions that people were asking about, which I was perhaps not aware of. So all of that has really helped me in my career thereof.
So, PG, I want to share my experience since we're talking about B2B sales. When I started my early career, I started with, pre-sales profiles also. And I remember when I had to present to, at a CXO level kind of a presentation, my legs were pretty much shaking. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that everyone experiences.
So, but eventually, as I kept that perseverance, all of that, I learned a lot. But with today's generation, I'm sure that could be a reason, they should be thinking about, and maybe giving up, not giving up. What do you have to talk about it? That could be a reason also. What do you think?
See, I think that's true for any profession that you take up. You have to give that time for you to learn the nuances of that profession, some skills that are required. And only then you realize whether it is meant for you or not, or whether you're able to succeed in it or not. And I'll take my own example. When I switched over to sales from IT, I was struggling for first 3 months. My job was not really going very great.
What was your job? What was your role there?
So it was a AVP for sales.
Okay.
And my boss was not too happy about it. And he said, did I make a mistake hiring you for this role? Because he let me shift from IT to sales. But I persisted on it. I realized that I was not doing great there. And within a few months, I started seeing conversions. I started seeing positive outcomes of my meetings. I was able to build those relationships with people. So I think it is a journey that one needs to take, and one needs to believe in it. And sales is a very natural process which is there in everywhere, right? Every job that you do today, you have to be good at communication. You have to be good at presentation skills. You have to be good at articulation skills. And sales forces you in to be doing that in a live environment.
Okay.
Otherwise, you are doing it in your office environment with your colleagues who you're comfortable with. But sales puts you in front of, like you said, CXOs or clients where you are under pressure and then you have to perform. So it's like cricketer who is practicing in the nets can hit sixes. But when you are playing even domestic cricket or club cricket, you are under pressure. When you go to international cricket, that pressure handling is more important than your net practice. Net practice is important to learn the skills. But unless you have practiced that under pressure, your skills may go for a toss.
Okay.
And that is what I think really sales teaches you, because that puts you in those live scenarios.
But I have a question on this, especially you spoke about under pressure. And today there is terms about work-life balances and things like that.
Yeah.
And what do you think about that then? So they are under pressure. Are they still having
under pressure is not bad. At least to me, it is not bad because
there was a huge controversy with.
I know. I do understand, and I don't want to get into any of those controversies. But I'm just sharing my own perspective, my own experience.
Yeah.
Even in college, when there were assignments, I would perhaps do it almost at the last moment. And I would perhaps do a great job on those assignments which I may have done at the last moment. I'm not saying that that's the right strategy to do. But the point is that pressure forced me to focus a lot more on that particular assignment, be in the present, forget about everything else. And then my outcomes were much better, right? Now, that is not a good strategy to do, that you have to do everything at the last moment. But the point is that pressure helps you to learn certain skills, do something better. And like I was giving example of cricketers or any sports person, they are under so much of pressure, right? And whenever they are under pressure, we see that great people come, or great sports people come out great in finals or in knockout matches. Why? because they are under tremendous pressure. There are so much of expectations around them. And then they know how to rise up to that level, that scale, right?
Yeah.
And that is what happens in our lives also, right? Maybe I have seen people who have lost their parents very early, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how they become self-sustainable, how they become so independent, how they become so confident. They find confidence in that difficult situation as well. Because life kind of was not really great for them, at least at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
But they found that that converted that challenge into an opportunity, and they've done well for themselves. So I think pressure is good as long as you can handle them. I think the question about work-life balance is where I don't want the pressure as an individual, and I'm being put under pressure which I have not signed up for.
Yeah.
And if that pressure continues for long and I'm not enjoying it, I think that's where it affects me negatively. But if I've taken up a job for sales, mm-hmm. I enjoy taking targets. I enjoy being in those challenging situations in front of client, being creative about it, being able to handle that rejection, being able to handle that interaction. Mm-hmm. Then that pressure works well for me. It helps me nurture my skills. It helps me grow as an individual. It helps me learn more and more skills. Mm-hmm. So then it is not affecting my work-life balance.
Got it. So since you're talking about career now, and especially in our organization, we have pretty much a lot of youth.
Yeah.
An average age would be around 24 to 27. And what do you have to say and give some tips, especially for growth? Things which were maybe at your time, at this age, how things were at that time, how things have changed, and the things that worked during your time to currently at this age group, are these similar things? And some key tips for the current youth system, if you can just give us.
So, I think one, and I think many leaders have spoken about this, so I might be repeating it, that skills have become more important today.
Okay.
And these skills are evolving. It is not about how marketing was being done 2 years back. The tools that were being used, the strategies that were working well may not be the same today. And any marketer, for example, needs to upskill themselves through the job while working at it.
Is that learning? Is what that part
That's the learning, right?
Yeah.
And there's one learning which is happening on the job.
Yeah.
But you can find opportunities to learn through internet, through other marketers who are working in other companies, through networking, to understand what strategies are working from them. There's so much on social media. There is so much research that actually gets published. So upskilling yourself, exploring new tools that are coming in the market, finding out tools which can work effectively for your job. All of that is part of learning. So it is not necessarily a structured learning. It is not about, like say, 10 years back, 15 years back, corporates would organize like training and then you will learn new skills only through that training. Today, that opportunity is there. But apart from that, an individual also has to proactively find these opportunities on their own. Mm-hmm. Within the job, outside the job, in the evenings, over the weekends, not for the company. Like don't see it negatively that, okay, the company should train me because I'm working for them. See it for yourself. See that you have to become self-sustainable. You have to become more skilled. Yeah. Because if you are more skilled, you will get better opportunities. And that will show you the growth. So first 5-7 years of your career, you should definitely be exploring more and more. I believe that there's always this debate about being generalist and specialist.
Okay.
And throughout my life, I've been trying to be a journalist with some specialization.
And what has worked for you?
I think that combination works, right? And there's this book called Range, and which talks about this dilemma of being a journalist and specialist. I think early career, one should be generalist. Try out different things because you don't know what is meant for you, right? You may have done a graduation in marketing, or you have done, say, an MBA in finance. You may start that job there. But how do you know that the other professions are not meant for you? Other functions are not meant for you. So unless you explore, you don't know. So it's better that you explore in first 5-7 years, dirty your hands. That gives you a much wider perspective. And then go for some specialization there. Because then you know, okay, I've explored these 7 things.
Yeah.
Now out of this, one thing works well for me. I want to build deeper specialization there. That I believe is much better. And I'll give again an example from sports. Leander Paes, until the age of 11, was a footballer.
Wow.
And he wanted to play in European clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And then he suddenly switched over to tennis because he could not move to Europe. Those were circumstances. Now, it was a gift to tennis world.
Yeah.
Right? And if you see, because of his athletic skills of football, he was very, very quick at nets. One of the quickest on the nets. So his skill there kind of helped him in tennis. And excel there and winning so many Grand Slams.
So that was the upskill,
and the learning. So it's true for Roger Federer.
Even Yuvraj Singh maybe.
Yuvraj Singh. So a lot of people, right, who have tried hands at different skills, and those skills come in handy. And that is when you can get creativity. That's when you can get innovation. One of the reasons why people accord innovation in tennis to Federer is because he has picked up a lot of skills from other sports, which he incorporated, and intuitively that came out. It was not that he was doing it intentionally. It just happened intuitively.
Great, PG. I think हमने काफी diverse topic में बात की है. I had something special for you, and just to know you slightly more, which is more around the rapid fire, right? So you as an individual, you are involved across different domains, expert strategy, consulting. In your free time, usually what is that you do apart from working on these subject matter?
So two things. One is I try to read diverse topics, newspapers, magazines, articles on internet, books. So that's what I do. And over the weekend, I play badminton. So that's the new thing.
Is it every weekend?
Every weekend, yes.
Wow. So you have a group? Or?
I have a group, yes.
And any tips like how do we be regular at playing a sport?
I think you find company. If you have good company, then you can. Okay. And I'm still like one of the worst players in my group. And I thank them for being persistent with me. But yeah.
Any books you mentioned? Any books which is your favorite and which we should be looking at?
So few books that I've liked. One is if I look at from general history, I think Sapiens is one of the books that I've liked in the recent time. So it talks about human history, but in a very, very generic way. Everybody can read it. Like I think all of us here can read it. You don't have to be really a book nerd to understand that book. And it gives a glimpse of human evolution from several million years back to now, and gives a very fresh perspective. So I really like that book, and I think it's one of the best sellers. Second, on the business side, I believe Range is another book that I liked, which talked about this generalist versus specialist, and it really talked about a variety of things in terms of how generalists and specialists, like the perspective, that debate can be looked at. So I generally like any book which has a lot of research and which kind of brings out insights from there.
Amazing. And any special quote which is very close to your heart? Anything you want to?
So something that I'm trying in one of our efforts and initiative is helping people learn better. And there, I think one of the quotes that we internally constantly use is, whenever we're talking about anything, just make sure that we are teaching fish, or like teaching a person how to fish, not how to eat a fish. So if you learn a skill, then you can grow, manifest that, and be much better. But if I just present a food to you, or like just give you money, that's not going to help you. I need to help you with learning better, a skill, so that you can do better in your life. So I think that, I don't remember the exact quote, but that's the essence of it.
Amazing. Great. I think that brings us to the end of our show. I have thoroughly loved it, knowing each areas of different domains. And I hope all of us have enjoyed this session. And from my bottom of my heart, PG, thanks for coming down and really, making this great session together. And looking forward to, seeing you more. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you very much. I loved being here. I hope we could add value to your audience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the podcast till the end. If you like the session, or if you have any feedback, be it critical, positive, do drop a comment in the comment section for us. It really helps us to improve the quality, and we know that what is the content you would really love. Also, do share the content with any of your loved ones. They could, scale up their career, do wonders, with a very small insight too. So looking forward to it, and stay tuned for our next session. Thank you.